Sorry, before joining as a young junior, I think a music study has been presented. And rather than solving the questions, proposing the question is more important. Asking what type of question, that's important in the music study. For modern music, the same attitude could be applied. Each of the music work is presenting some questions or problems, and then what should be the proper way of listening. I think that's dependent on each of the individual. Today, Mr. Miwa said that who I am. Who I am is the common question. I think each of the presenter presented the same question. I was asked to make a comment on the issues, and I asked on which issue, and then any kind of issue will be all right. So I would like to present another question. I am teaching at the campus of Komabata, Kyoto University. The famous site is the clock tower. And here today, where we are now, is the clock tower of the Kyoto University. Each university has the clock tower. Why Kyoto University-Inamori Foundation Joint Kyoto Prize Symposium is being held under the clock, which is time? I don't think this is the mere simple question. There is an answer, but we need to ask a question first. I have the Western face, but speak in Japanese. Many people ask that, where are you from? So I always say I've come from Tokyo. But I'm originally from Germany, not in this village. I was not born in the village, but this is a picture of Germany. This is nearby of the birthplace of mine. Whenever we look at the German village, usually church is located in center, and the clock tower is always there. From medieval time, under the clock tower, all the village people thought that they were living their lives. This is not general pictures we can see in any of the sites in the world. However, at the big universities, usually the sacred place is under the clock. This is the academic literature. 14th century, Dr. Heinrich Zoise made this literature. Horologium Sapientiae is the title. This is the English version. This book is stating the situation of people's way of thinking when clock tower was started to build. And this picture on the right was the 15th century translation from the Latin. And so this picture itself is the picture of 15th century. But the book was written in the 14th century. Horologium Sapientiae means the clock of the wisdom. And this was the minister and who showed the great lessons in this book. He had a dream. In his dream, great Salvator, or the God of the wisdom, showed how to make a clock, and the explanation is written, and which purpose people are supposed to live. That is written here. This is the Latin language, but in original text. This is how it was written. But it explained the clock. This is the Latins. So study the Divina Sapienta or Figura Dignata. What it means is that the very beautiful decorated clock was there, and from that clock, beautiful mellifluous melody was flown to the people. Here's a clock, and the ministers in Abbey, and the God of wisdom is there. Besides, this looks like the machines, but in addition to the clock on the left, many bells are instrumented. This is the automated bells. We have those bells which sounds at a certain time clock. So this is the machine to produce the music. Reproduction is designed. I think this is the modern machine in a way. And a more interesting thing is, from this clock, rope is attached, and that leads to the top across the text, and the bell is on top. Wisdom, through the resonance of the bells, is disseminated to the world. So this is the clock tower, which can be applied to this. So clock tower will give the proper rhythm. Proper rhythm means proper way to live our lives. That's the virtuous ways of living life with morale. That's the message that the bells is conveying to us. I think majority of you are the scientists, but this shows the updated astronomical devices depicted here. Why astronomical device was there? Because in those days, astronomy was a more advanced science. Time was regarded as the utmost value. When we get the sunrise or sunset, that was shown with the clock needle, and also stars' movement, the sun's movement, all those are symbolized with many of the types of clock. For example, this shows you the church in Strasbourg. In church, this is the astronomical clock. In 14th century, it was built, but renovated several times. Now, this one was renovated in the 19th century. Stars, the moons, the sun, how they move are described and hard to see, but on top there is a doors, and when we eat the certain number of clock, and then the dolls comes up from the doors, and with music they will tell us what time it is right now. And this is the inside of the clock. This is the machine produced in the 19th century, I think 1847. And here, compute ecclesiastic. That's written. That means the church-like computer. Compute is the computer. In 19th century, so in 1848, this can be regarded as a computer for the church. This type of clock is the symbol of the art of technology, and music and astronomy all are combined. So I think that this clock is symbolizing all the message that has been discussed at Joint Kyoto Prize Symposium. Time is limited, and I would like to show one more example. This image was produced in the 17th century. Atlas chiaroscura, that's the from the books produced from the then university. Perhaps you will not be able to see, but symbol is clearly shown on the right. That's the symbol of the death. In many of the medieval times of the clock, there is a picture of death. Why? Because time for human beings is limited. We cannot ignore it because time is running, and whenever we see the clock, we are destined to die. That's the message that we should learn or remember. And this is the automated musical instruments. There is a symbol of the death. That means that this music instrument has the image of the death when it's built up. And this design drawing has a lot of elements, but it will take 1 hour. Here, from the nature, the energy, that's the water. The wheel is driven by water, and the motion will move the rotation. Then in order to play the pipe organ, the air is produced with the water. By having this device, this is the notation, and that comes down, and then those levers are driven. Then keyboard will be played to produce the notes or sound. And a lot of symbols of the universe is shown here. For example, Trinity written there, and also keyboards, usually 3 and 2 black keys, but 3, 3, 3, that's the black keys. That's the symbol of the Trinity. Notation is attached to this drawing, so I think that the music can be reproduced, and lyric is attached to that. But this machine cannot produce the words or lyric. That's written in Latin, but the 3 syllables are always used, but usually that difficult style is used. Again, 3 is the key number. Trinity is the integrated theme for this machine. In computer, I simulated the music which can be produced with this machine. Although it's simulation, I want to show it. But who listened to those? At Atanas Curie here was the German scholar living in Rome. Roman Pope hired him, and he had the research institute for all the academic disciplines. And he presented this for the yard, for the church. It was not realized, but the proposal was made. Is it research or music work? I don't know. However, I think this could be the artwork of music. And what is the message from this? I want you to have a thought on this. So I think it's sufficient. I want to show the rest. So there's a surprise. That means only the percussion without having sounds. So I think that is a question presented. We wonder why it was made so. Well, on the upper left, there are 3 blacksmiths, and the Pythagoras discovered the music. That's the story on the symbol. Always Pythagoras walked by the blacksmith, and then blacksmith used a different size of hammer, and then the harmonious sound was produced. And now study of the music was first established. That's the famous story. So harmony is symbolized here. If I started to explain the details, it will be endless. So only the last point. Mr. Miwa mentioned prayer for the music origin. What is prayer? What's the meaning of prayer or praying in music? That might be connected to Mr. Miwa and Dr. Kondo. In German church or European church, usually the music performance is like this. These are the choir at the back side. So the right-hand side is the front side of the church. Everybody is looking towards the left. And in the back row, chorus members are there. Therefore, the voice produced by the choir was directed to the front. That means all other people are facing to the front of church. So this is the prayer space. So not the communication among the people, but usually everybody produce the words or chanting towards one direction in praying the message. So in today artists' performance, image is the opposite. Artists are performing the music towards the people or audience facing that. But these people at the backside of the space is not feeling ignored. They are joining in spirit, and the time is limited, so that's the end of my presentation.